Professor Vek-Nine adjusted his 4 optical sensors and tried not to think about how much this particular class was going to cost the Galactic Education Ministry. Again, the reflex analysis chamber hummed with quiet efficiency, its pristine walls gleaming under the artificial light. 23 students from various species sat in perfectly arranged semicircles, their biosignatures monitored by sensors that could detect a twitch from 3 star systems away. And then there was Marcus Webb, the human exchange student, slouched in his chair like he was watching entertainment vids instead of attending advanced kinetic response theory. Now then, Vek-Nine began, his translator converting his clicks and buzzes into standard Galactic. Today we will be measuring neural response times using the Mark 7 laser reflex evaluator. This device fires photon bursts at precisely calculated intervals, measuring the time between stimulus and muscular response. Zarapol, a Centaurian with naturally enhanced reflexes, raised one of her 6 arms. Professor, what is the fastest recorded response time? Excellent question. The current record belongs to a Vexen pilot, 0.08 standard time units. Quite remarkable, really. Vek-Nine's sensors focused on the sleek machine in the center of the room. The device is calibrated to fire at speeds that would challenge even our most enhanced species. Marcus raised his hand lazily. What happens if someone, hypothetically speaking, catches the laser? The classroom fell silent. Several students exchanged the universal look of, did this primitive just say something monumentally stupid? Vek-Nine's optical sensors dimmed in what could charitably be called patience. Mr. Webb, lasers are coherent light energy. They cannot be caught any more than you could grab a handful of gravity. Right. Just checking. Marcus grinned, and somehow that made Vek-Nine's anxiety processors spike. The first volunteer was Crix-88, a standard Altarian with decent reflexes. The machine whirred to life, firing a low-intensity beam. Crix-88's tentacle twitched away in a respectable 0.12 time units. Polite applause rippled through the class. Next came Tessa Prime, whose cybernetic enhancements gave her an advantage. Her response clocked in at 0.09 time units, earning appreciative chirps from her classmates. Show off, someone muttered in the back. Mr. Webb, you're next, Vek-Nine announced, trying to ignore the way his primary stomach had started churning. In his 47 years of teaching, he'd learned that when humans said just checking about physical laws, expensive equipment usually died shortly afterward. Marcus ambled over to the testing area with all the urgency of geological erosion. He positioned himself in front of the machine, hands hanging loosely at his sides. The targeting system locked onto his position, calculating optimal firing angles. Remember, this is just a reflex test. Simply move away from the beam when you detect it, Vek-Nine instructed, his voice carrying the tone of someone who suspected his instructions were about to be catastrophically ignored. Got it, Professor. The machine initiated its sequence. Warning lights flashed. Energy cells hummed to full charge. Every sensor in the room focused on the small space between the Mark 7 and the human. The laser fired. What happened next would later be debated in scientific journals, banned from several academic conferences, and become the subject of at least 3 conspiracy theories. Marcus Webb's hand moved. But here's the thing about human reflexes that the Galactic Education Ministry's extensive xenobiology database had somehow missed. They weren't designed for civilized academic testing. They were designed by evolution for catching things that moved fast enough to kill you. The laser beam, traveling at standard measurement velocities, suddenly found itself intercepted by 5 human fingers that had apparently decided that yes, actually, you could grab a handful of coherent light. The Mark 7 laser reflex evaluator, a piece of precision engineering that had cost more than some planetary defense budgets, made a sound that could best be described as electronic confusion. Warning lights strobed. Coolant systems engaged. Safety protocols activated, deactivated, then gave up entirely. Marcus stood there, completely calm, holding approximately 6 inches of solid laser beam between his thumb and forefinger like it was the most natural thing in the universe. he said thoughtfully, examining the crackling energy in his grip. It's warmer than I expected. Vek-Nine's optical sensors focused and refocused, as if changing the aperture would somehow make this make sense. That should not be possible. Yeah, but here we are. Marcus gave the captured laser a little shake. It sparked and hummed in response. Want me to put it back? The machine, meanwhile, was having what could only be described as an existential crisis. Its targeting system kept trying to fire at the position where the beam should have been, while its sensors insisted the beam was currently being examined by a bipedal mammal with no apparent regard for the fundamental laws of physics. 23 alien students sat in stunned silence, their various breathing apparatus working overtime. Somewhere in the back, Crix-88 was making a noise that his species typically reserved for witnessing cosmic events or really good mating displays. Mr. Webb, Vek-Nine said carefully, could you please release the laser? Sure thing. Marcus opened his fingers. The laser beam, apparently deciding it had had enough excitement for one day, flickered twice and dissipated into harmless photons. The Mark 7 gave one last, mournful electronic wheeze and shut down completely. The silence stretched for exactly 4.7 seconds before all hell broke loose. Impossible, shrieked Dr. Yithkol, the visiting physicist from the Rigel Academy, who had been observing from the back of the room. Her crystalline exoskeleton was flashing danger colors so rapidly it looked like a disco ball having a seizure. The quantum coherence alone should have prevented any molecular interference. The photon stream maintains structural integrity through electromagnetic containment fields. Marcus scratched his head. Doc, I don't know what half those words mean, but the glowing thing was moving pretty slow. Slow? Yithkol's voice cracked several octaves. That laser travels at 0.3 light speed within atmospheric conditions. Huh. Felt like I was catching a lazy fastball. Professor Vek-Nine's anxiety processors were now operating at maximum capacity. In the corner, the backup Mark 8 unit had apparently witnessed the destruction of its predecessor and was making what sounded suspiciously like whimpering noises. Equipment throughout the facility was designed to be human-resistant, but apparently no one had considered human-proof. Perhaps, Vek-Nine said with the desperate optimism of someone trying to rationalize the impossible, this was some sort of equipment malfunction? A holographic projection, maybe? Marcus walked over to the deceased Mark 7 and gave it an experimental poke. The machine sparked, coughed, and displayed a message in 17 different languages that roughly translated to what the blazing nebulae just happened. Nope, definitely real, Marcus confirmed cheerfully. Tessa Prime, whose cybernetic enhancements included advanced analysis systems, was running continuous scans of the human. Professor, his bio readings are completely normal. No enhanced reflexes, no artificial augmentations, no quantum manipulators. He's just baseline human. That's what makes it worse. Yithkol was now pacing frantically, her multiple legs clicking against the floor like an agitated insect. Do you understand what you've done? You've violated 17 fundamental principles of physics. The Energy Conservation Council will want answers. The Photonic Sciences Division will demand investigations. Marcus shrugged. Look, I just moved my hand. It's not like I invented anti-gravity or turned lead into gold. Anti-gravity would be easier to explain. The Mark 8 in the corner made another whimpering sound and quietly wheeled itself toward the exit. Vek-Nine intercepted the retreating machine. Oh no, you don't. We still have 18 students who need testing. The Mark 8's display screen flickered with what could only be described as panic. A message appeared, request immediate transfer to Theoretical Mathematics Department. Anything but this. Professor, called out Jextal, an Andromedan student with naturally curious tendencies, could we test if Marcus can do other impossible things? Absolutely not, Vek-Nine said quickly. We're not turning my classroom into some sort of physics-breaking carnival. Marcus perked up. Oh, I bet I could catch those particle beams from the quantum accelerator lab. Those look fun. No. The response came from every non-human in the room simultaneously. Dr. Yith-Kol had stopped pacing and was now frantically taking notes on a device that was smoking from overuse. The implications are staggering. If humans can simply ignore photonic coherence through manual dexterity, what else might they be capable of? Could they grab magnetic fields? Pinch gravity waves? Collect dark matter in mason jars? Mason what now? Marcus asked. Human storage containers, Tessa Prime translated helpfully. Oh, those. Yeah, probably. Yith-Kol's exoskeleton flashed so brightly that several students had to adjust their optical filters. The Mark 8, apparently deciding that discretion was the better part of mechanical valor, had quietly powered down and was pretending to be decorative equipment. Right then, Vek-Nine announced, his voice carrying the tone of someone who had given up on sanity entirely, let's just skip the reflex testing today and move on to theoretical discussions about the nature of light. Actually, Marcus said, raising his hand again, I have a question about those theoretical discussions. Every non-human in the room tensed. What if light isn't actually a wave or a particle, but just really tiny things that are having a good time? The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of Dr. Yith-Kol's note-taking device finally giving up and catching fire. Somewhere in the distance, an alarm began blaring. The facility's AI announced in a perfectly calm voice, Attention, the Department of Impossible Things has requested immediate consultation with Reflex Analysis Chamber 7. Please prepare all insurance documentation. Professor Vek-Nine looked at Marcus Webb, then at his destroyed equipment, then at his traumatized students, and finally at the smoking remains of a very expensive note-taking device. Class dismissed, he said wearily. Forever. As the students filed out in various states of shock and bewilderment, Marcus lingered behind. Hey Prof, same time next week? Vek-Nine's optical sensors dimmed completely. Mr. Webb, there won't be a next week. Or a next month. Possibly not a next semester. Marcus grinned that same unsettling grin. Cool. I'll bring snacks. And as he walked away, whistling a tune that somehow managed to sound like it was breaking the laws of music theory, Professor Vek-Nine made a mental note to request an immediate transfer to the Department of Theoretical Basket Weaving. At least baskets couldn't catch lasers, probably.